every year we put on 4 major events a year. Each event we target a charity. We do that for a couple reasons. One, it's the right thing to do, and two, it really it helps the community directly and indirectly. Stimulating nonprofit organizations is just what it's about. So this year, and for this event, every year actually, we have been pointing towards the Wounded Warrior Project. And it's really interesting because when you donate money to a cause, you don't really see the end result. You know, you're doing it on good faith because you know it's a good organization and it makes you feel good about what you're doing. But we wanted to bring the face of the Wounded Warrior Project here so that you can actually see this involves real people. It's not just a donation because it's a donation, it's real people. We're doing what we're doing because a lot of people before us sacrificed a lot. So I want to introduce Mary. She'll tell a little bit more about her story and how Wounded Warrior Project has helped. When you came in today, you probably got a little card, like a little business card that has a QR code on it. Please point your camera to that and make a donation. Even if it's $5, it doesn't matter. It just matters that you contribute. So if you would do that, that'd be very helpful. We'd appreciate it. We don't charge an entry fee. We don't charge a parking fee. And we do that for a reason. We want you to save your money and put it where it really, really counts. So I'm going to give this to Mary for a minute, let her tell you her story, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, everyone, for being out here and supporting Wounded Warrior Project, not only because I'm here, but I have a short story to share with you, and that is that in 2006, my son, a young sergeant, a 22-year-old sergeant at Camp Tallouzi in Iraq, was seriously injured, and he suffered a traumatic brain injury that resulted in my being by his side for 2 years and 5 months, and in 2009, Daniel passed. When that happened, I just froze because, number one, when you get that phone call from the DOD that says your son or daughter is severely injured, you know, the first thing you want to know is like what exactly is going on. And this traumatic brain injury had no prognosis. So for 2 years and 5 months, I fought to get Daniel the best care. And, you know, the person, you know, that speaks the loudest, and I'm glad I didn't have to. I'm glad that people understood the situation, whether it was in the medical facilities or in the private sector, and they helped me in my journey with Daniel. So this young Sergeant Daniel Tallouzi, after he passed away, I remembered thinking, what do I do now? Because for this time frame, I left a job after being there for 17 years. I worked for an insurance company. And that was rather helpful because it helped me ask questions and how to get things done. So I knew I couldn't go back to that type of job because I'd probably give the farm away, and I work for State Farm, so they wouldn't want me to do that. But what I did recognize was that there were people who kind of focused in on me. A lady in Albuquerque, New Mexico, fundraising for a Wounded Warrior Project, asked me to tell my story. And I remember that was about 7 months after Daniel passed, and I thought, I can't do that. But I did at her third event that she invited me to. And it just woke a lot of people up in the community because he was from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And everybody that was there resonated because their children went to school in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And they couldn't even fathom the idea of going through something that we went through. But what happened was that Wounded Warrior Project became that voice at the end of the phone that asked me, you know, how can we help? And that you are not alone. They thanked Daniel profusely, a man in a complete coma. And then they told him, you can rest assured that your mother will be taken care of as well. Well, they did way more than that, because after Dan passed, and I helped this woman with her fundraising in Albuquerque, and I shared my story for the first time, and I really don't know if anybody understood me through the tears. But it came to the point where I recognized that we cannot accept the status quo, and that if this mother did not stand up and tell you about the obstacles she had along the way, then I wouldn't be of any service to any other family who might go into the same scenario with their son or daughter, and I needed to make a difference. So since 2011, I've been a national speaker for Wounded Warrior Project because they met me again through fundraising and said, Mary Tallouzi, your message will resonate with a lot of families, and your devotion and just your wanting to make a difference is what matters. And I believe that to today. I wouldn't be standing before you today if Wounded Warrior Project hadn't come in and not only been an advocate when I needed an advocate for Dan in his care and in his well-being and where he would go next, but they were an advocate for me because they opened the door and they gave me a job. And this is it. My job is to raise awareness and to let you know that it doesn't end with my son. Currently, everybody believes that the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, everybody's home and happy and healthy, and that is not the case. The greatest tragedy is being forgotten. Korea was forgotten. Vietnam was forgotten. And I don't want these kids, this generation, to be forgotten. And the one thing that we have to take care of is their well-being. And their well-being right now is to address the post-traumatic stress, the hidden traumatic brain injuries, the physical disabilities that should not be a disability, but the ability to do it differently. And that's how we work at Wounded Warrior Project. It's not to focus on a label. You just can't go around saying people are disabled. They may be lacking something, but they don't lack in the sense of their being able to be good members of the community, working members of our community. If you ever go to woundedwarriorproject.org and see everything that they do for our warriors, you will know that they change lives every day, and you will know that they save lives. Just last week, I attended a funeral for a young man in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He was a peer support person for Wounded Warrior Project. He is like all warriors. They want to take care of the next guy without thinking about themselves. And when this happened, I was devastated because this cannot continue to be the norm. Yes, everyone can step in and help. Everyone can speak to each other and everyone can hold each other's hand. But always remember to go back and take care of yourself first. I've heard this all along my journey. I just didn't realize the impact it would have on me later in the sense of how much I care about these young veterans. And I remind my brothers who were Vietnam veterans, if it wasn't for them, if they hadn't made the promise that this would not happen to another generation of warriors in our nation, it would be because they would make a difference. And they have. They have stood up for all these young people because they know where they've been and they know where these young people have been. And I thank you for that. This thunder in the valley is amazing. And I'm going to have a neck ache tonight from looking up. And that little helicopter was like a little buzzing mosquito. I thought, oh my God. Everything that you're doing here today and giving back to our young men and women means the world to us. Never stop caring. Never. And if you need help, please go to woundedwarriorproject.org. If you don't know how to ask for help, start a conversation. I'm not really sure what I need to do, and they'll help you. So thank you for listening to me this afternoon. I appreciate your time.